I am sitting in my living room right now, staring at 7 years' worth of marriage photos hanging on the wall behind me. 7 years of smiles that I thought were real. My wife Jillian just dropped a bomb on our marriage an hour ago. She wants an open marriage. But it was not the request itself that cut deepest. It was how she said it. Quote, "I need to explore what it is like to be with real men, Creighton. Real men. Like I was not one. Like 7 years of loyalty and partnership meant I was somehow less than. I agreed to it thinking maybe it would save us. I never expected the woman next door would change absolutely everything. I should have seen it coming, but I was too busy trying to hold on to something already gone. Before I tell you how a simple yes turned my world completely upside down, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from right now? Drop your location in the comments because I want to know. This story is reaching people everywhere. And if you have ever felt like you were not enough for someone, hit that like button right now. You are going to want to subscribe too, because this story takes a turn that nobody, especially my wife, saw coming. Trust me when I say the moment my neighbor Amber knocked on my door, everything Jillian thought she knew about me was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. So let me take you back to where it all started falling apart. Jillian and I met in college, both of us 21, and stupid in love the way only college kids can be. We got married at 24, bought a small townhouse in Arlington, Virginia, and built what I thought was a solid life together. I work as a software engineer, pulling in decent money with a stable job that keeps me busy about 45 hours a week. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills and then some. Jillian worked in marketing, and 6 months ago, she got promoted to director at her firm. That promotion changed things in ways I did not see coming. The drift happened slowly, like ice melting. You do not notice it until suddenly there is water everywhere, and you are wondering where all the solid ground went. We stopped cooking together on Sundays, which had been our thing since we got married. She stopped asking about my day. The conversations got shorter. The space between us in bed got wider. She joined an expensive gym, started buying designer clothes I had never seen her wear around the house, switched to a perfume I did not recognize. I noticed all of it, but I pushed my worry down deep. Marriages have phases, right? This was just a phase. It was a Thursday night, 8:30 in the evening, when everything came crashing down with crystal clarity. Jillian walked through the front door carrying takeout Thai food, which should have been my first warning sign. We always cooked on Thursdays. She set the bags on our kitchen table, and the lighting felt wrong somehow. Too cold, too bright. She looked at me with an expression I could not quite read and said, "We need to talk about us." My stomach dropped, but I sat down across from her. She was direct, I will give her that. She said she loved me, but that she needed excitement in her life, that modern marriages required flexibility if they were going to survive, that she wanted to propose something unconventional, an open marriage. She could see other people. I could see other people. Rules in place, of course, honesty, safety, no overnight stays initially. She kept talking, words tumbling out like she had rehearsed this speech 100 times. But I got stuck on one phrase she used. She said she wanted to explore her sexuality with real men. Real men. The way she emphasized it made my chest tighten. What makes someone a real man? I am 5 feet 10 inches tall, average build, not a gym rat, but not out of shape either. I am calm, thoughtful, analytical. I do not start fights. I do not raise my voice often. Was that the problem? I was not aggressive enough, not physically imposing enough. The questions spun through my head while she kept talking, but I stayed outwardly calm. I asked her what she meant by real men. She got flustered, backtracked, said she just meant different experiences, variety, something new. Then she dropped the next bomb. She already had someone interested. His name was Derek. He was a personal trainer at her gym. 6 feet 3 inches tall, she said. Muscular, confident, takes charge. She described him like she was reading off a shopping list of everything I apparently was not. The humiliation burned in my throat, but I swallowed it down. I asked her how long she had been talking to Derek. She admitted they had been flirting for 3 weeks. 3 weeks she had been planning this while I was completely in the dark, thinking we were just going through a rough patch. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at our ceiling, listening to Jillian breathe steadily beside me, like she had not just blown up our entire marriage. The next morning she acted completely normal, made coffee, kissed my cheek, asked if I wanted eggs, like she had not just told me I was not man enough for her. I spent 3 days thinking it through with the kind of analytical mind that made me good at my job, but apparently bad at being exciting. Option 1 was to say no and watch our marriage die a slow, painful death while she resented me for holding her back. Option 2 was to say yes and hope that maybe she would realize what she had at home once she got this out of her system. Option 3, the one I did not want to admit to myself, was to say yes and give myself permission to emotionally move on while still technically married. On Saturday afternoon, I met my best friend Marcus at a sports bar downtown. I told him everything. Marcus has known me since college, knows Jillian almost as long. His reaction was immediate. "Bro, she is already cheating. This is just her asking for permission retroactively." He took a long drink of his beer and looked at me hard. "If you agree to this, actually use it. Do not just sit at home while she lives her best life. You deserve better than being her safety net." His words hit harder than I expected. Was that what I was? A safety net? Someone boring and reliable who paid half the mortgage while she went out and felt alive with someone else? The thought made me angry in a way I had not let myself feel yet. But under the anger was something worse. Fear. I was terrified of being alone. Terrified that maybe she was right and I was not enough. But sitting there with Marcus, something shifted. I realized I was not holding on to Jillian. I was holding on to the idea of us, the story I had told myself about our marriage. The reality was already gone. She had checked out months ago. This conversation was just her making it official. That Friday evening, I told Jillian I agreed to the open marriage. Her face lit up with relief and excitement. She hugged me tight and said, "You are so evolved, Creighton." I almost laughed at the irony. Being called evolved for accepting that I was not enough. We sat down and established ground rules, honesty about seeing other people, safe practices always. Our home was still our sanctuary. Either of us could end this arrangement at any time. She agreed to everything quickly, eagerly. I should have seen that as a red flag, too. She had already decided what she wanted before ever asking my opinion. The first 2 weeks of our new arrangement were brutal for me. Jillian went out with Derek 3 times. She followed our honesty rule, telling me details I did not ask for. How Derek took her to upscale restaurants that I would not enjoy, she said. How he was so confident and knew exactly what he wanted. How being with him made her feel young again. She implied physical intimacy without being explicit, which somehow made it worse. My imagination filled in the blanks. She came home glowing each time, energized, looking younger than she had in months. Meanwhile, my life looked pathetically different. I worked late because coming home to an empty house felt worse than staying at my desk. I ordered pizza alone, watched television shows alone, felt like a ghost haunting my own life. I was not even angry yet, just profoundly sad and numb. One night I was doing laundry and found new lingerie in the basket, expensive stuff with tags still attached. She had never worn it for me. That was when the numbness started cracking. It was a Saturday morning when things began to change. Jillian left early for brunch with Derek, barely saying goodbye. I sat at our kitchen table with cold coffee, staring at nothing, and made a decision. I needed to do something normal, something that used to make me feel grounded. I went outside and started working on our front yard, trimming the hedges that had gotten overgrown. That was when I met Amber. She had moved in next door about 3 weeks earlier, but I had barely noticed through the fog of my failing marriage. She walked over while I was elbow-deep in hedge trimmings, and I looked up to see her smiling at me. She had auburn hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater that looked comfortable rather than flashy. Natural beauty without trying too hard. Confident in her stride, but not intimidating. She looked close to 30 athletic build, but not in the way that made you feel like you were being judged. She introduced herself as Amber mentioned she had seen me around, but we had never officially met. She asked about the neighborhood, what it was like living here, where the good coffee shops were. I found myself actually smiling for the first time in weeks. There was something easy about talking to her. No pressure. No judgment, no hidden meanings in her words. She looked at me closely and said, "You seem like you needed to get outside today." It was such a simple observation, but felt startlingly accurate. I surprised myself by being honest. Yeah, the house felt kind of empty. She did not push, did not pry. Just said she had just brewed way too much coffee and hated drinking alone. Would I want to come sit on her porch for a bit? I should have said no. I should have gone back inside to my empty house. But I said yes. Sitting on her porch felt surreal. We talked about easy things first. Jobs, backgrounds, how we ended up in Arlington. She told me she was a fitness instructor, but not like those trainers who make you feel bad about yourself. She focused on wellness and mental health, helping people feel strong rather than just look different. She had been through a divorce 2 years ago and was still figuring out what life looked like on the other side. There was a natural chemistry between us that I had not felt in so long I almost forgot what it felt like. We laughed. Time passed without me noticing. An hour disappeared like 10 minutes. Eventually, she asked the careful question, "Where is your wife on this beautiful Saturday?" I could have lied, could have made up something simple, but I found myself being honest again, out with someone else. It is complicated. I waited for judgment for her to make an excuse and end the conversation. Instead, she just nodded slowly and said, "That must be really hard." Those 4 words, that simple acknowledgement of my pain, meant more to me than anything Jillian had said in months. We exchanged phone numbers before I left. She said if I ever wanted company while trimming hedges, she was usually around on weekends. She smiled when she said it, warm and genuine. Walking back to my house, I felt lighter than I had in months. Not happy exactly, but less heavy. Like maybe I could breathe a little deeper. Over the next 3 weeks, Amber and I developed an organic friendship. It was not planned, not forced. We started having coffee together twice a week before work, just 30 minutes on her porch, talking about our days ahead. Weekend yard work became a joint activity. We would both be outside at the same time working on our respective properties, but chatting across the fence. She started texting me funny memes during the day, asking how things were going, sending me pictures of her cat doing stupid things. Small gestures that added up to feeling seen. What struck me most was how different it felt from being with Jillian. Amber asked questions and actually listened to the answers. She remembered small details I mentioned in passing, like my favorite band or how I took my coffee. She laughed at my jokes, real laughs that reached her eyes. Jillian had stopped finding me funny years ago. With Amber, comfortable silences felt natural rather than awkward. There was no pressure to fill every moment with conversation or performance. We did not cross any physical lines during those weeks. It was just genuine human connection. But I would be lying if I said I did not feel something shifting inside me. I started caring about things again. Started noticing what I wore when I knew I might see her. Started looking forward to mornings in a way I had not in months. There was one specific moment in week 3 that changed something fundamental. We were painting her back fence together on a Sunday afternoon. Working side by side, sun setting behind us, music playing softly from her phone. We were talking about nothing important, just easy conversation, when she stopped and looked at me. She said, "You know what I really appreciate about you, Creighton? You are just solid, steady. There is real strength in that kind of consistency." Those words hit me like a physical thing. Real strength. She saw strength in the exact qualities that Jillian dismissed: the steadiness, the consistency, the quiet reliability. I felt something crack open in my chest, something that had been locked tight since Jillian said the words, "real men." Amber saw me. Actually saw me. Not as boring or insufficient, but as valuable exactly as I was. Meanwhile, Jillian barely existed in my world anymore. She was almost never home, constantly texting Derek. The few times we were in the house together, she did not ask about my day, did not notice I was different, did not see that I had stopped waiting for her. Our ground rule about honesty had become completely one-sided. She assumed I was sitting at home feeling sorry for myself while she lived her exciting new life. But I was not. I was working out not to compete with Derek, but because it made me feel better. I was wearing clothes that actually fit well because Amber complimented my style once, and it made me pay attention. I was smiling more naturally. The fog of depression that had settled over me was lifting gradually day by day, conversation by conversation. One evening, Amber invited me over for dinner. She cooked pasta from scratch, opened a bottle of wine, and we sat at her small kitchen table talking for hours. The conversation eventually turned serious. She admitted she found me attractive from the first day we met. I admitted I had not felt this comfortable with another person in years, maybe ever. The air between us felt charged with possibility. We kissed that night. It was gentle and tentative and meaningful in ways I cannot fully explain. We both knew it complicated everything. We both knew it was crossing a line, but sitting there with her hand in mine, I thought about what Jillian wanted. An open marriage? Freedom to explore. Well, here it was. Here I was, actually taking the permission she had given me and using it. Week 5 arrived with the inevitability of a storm you can see coming, but cannot avoid. It was a Tuesday evening, and I came home at 9 in the evening from Amber's place. We had cooked dinner together, watched a movie, talked about everything and nothing. I felt genuinely content for the first time in months. I opened my front door, expecting an empty house. Jillian was home early for once, sitting in our dark living room like she had been waiting. My hand was still on the light switch when she spoke. "Where were you?" Her voice was tight-controlled in a way that told me she was anything but calm. I could have deflected, could have said I was working late or out with Marcus. But we had established a ground rule: honesty. So I gave it to her. I was with Amber, our neighbor. We have been spending time together. Her reaction was not what I expected. Her face went red instantly. She stood up abruptly, her whole body rigid. "What do you mean you were with her?" The way she said it with such shock and anger would have been funny if it was not so revealing. I explained calmly that Amber and I had been getting to know each other over the past few weeks, that things had developed naturally, that we connected. Jillian exploded. "This was not supposed to be for you. This was about me having freedom. You were supposed to wait here while I figured things out." The words came out in a rush, her voice getting louder with each sentence. And there it was, the truth she had never actually said out loud, but had always believed. The open marriage was never meant to be open for both of us. It was meant to be open for her while I stayed home, being her safety net, her backup plan, her reliable, boring husband who would be waiting when she was done exploring. I asked her directly, "So when you said real men, you meant men who are not me. When you said open marriage, you meant open only for you." She fumbled, tried to backtrack, but the truth was already out. She thought I would never actually find someone else. She had assumed I was too safe, too boring, too unremarkable to attract anyone while she was off with Derek. The open marriage was supposed to make her feel powerful and free while keeping me locked in place. She called Amber that desperate divorcee, and the cruelty in her voice told me everything I needed to know about who Jillian really was under the surface. This was not about Derek or Amber or even me. This was about control. She wanted the freedom to do whatever she wanted, while I remained exactly where she left me, grateful for whatever scraps of attention she threw my way. I stayed eerily calm through her explosion. Years of being the steady one, the calm one, the one who did not make scenes, had trained me for this moment. I asked her questions I already knew the answers to. Did you ever respect me? Did you ever see me as your equal? Or was I always just your comfortable fallback? She tried to deny it, but her words kept betraying her. She admitted Derek was not even that great. She admitted she mainly wanted to feel desired and powerful. She admitted she saw me as settled, which was code for settled for. She actually said I thought I was supposed to want more than just comfortable. I looked at her, and something inside me that had been bending for months finally snapped back straight. Comfortable? You mean respected, loyal, present. Yes, I gave you all of that. You mistook kindness for weakness, stability for boring. Amber did not make that mistake. She saw strength in the same qualities you dismissed as flaws. Jillian's face crumbled as she realized what was happening. She had gambled and lost. Derek had told her last week he was not interested in anything serious, just fun. She had destroyed her marriage for ego validation from a man who saw her as a casual thing. And now her husband, the one she thought would always be there, had found someone who actually valued him. Someone who saw him as a complete person rather than a convenience. Her desperation came out in waves. She cried. She said she made a mistake. She blamed stress from her promotion for bad judgment. She tried guilt, asking, "What about our 7 years together?" She tried anger, accusing me of throwing away our marriage for some rebound. She tried jealousy, asking if Amber knew I was just using her to get back at my wife. I responded to each attempt with a clarity I did not know I possessed. I am not using anyone. Unlike you, I am being genuine with my feelings. Our 7 years. You checked out 6 months ago. I was just too blind to see it clearly. You wanted freedom to explore connections. I found someone who explores who I actually am as a person. The difference is that Amber sees me as a whole human being, not as a convenience or a backup plan. Then Jillian said something that made everything click into place. She admitted she mainly wanted to feel desired and powerful. She admitted seeing me as settled. Not settled down, but settled for. Like I was the practical choice she made when she could not get what she really wanted. The 7 years of our marriage reframed themselves in an instant. Had she ever truly seen me as her equal? Or had I always been the safe choice while she dreamed of something more exciting? I said something then that I had never said to her before in our entire relationship. I do not love who you have shown me you really are. And more importantly, I am learning to love myself enough not to accept this treatment anymore. Her face went pale. She asked if I was saying it was over. I told her the truth. It has been over for months. You killed it when you decided I was not enough. I am just finally accepting reality. She made one last desperate plea. Do not you love me anymore? It was the kind of question designed to manipulate to make me feel guilty for my boundaries. But I had clarity now. I told her honestly. I love the person I thought you were. I love 7 years of memories that I thought were real. But I do not love who you have revealed yourself to be. And I love myself too much now to pretend that is enough. That night I packed a bag, not running away, but making a strategic choice. I called Marcus and asked if I could crash at his place for a while. He said yes immediately, no questions asked. I texted Jillian clear boundaries. I would be staying at Marcus's place while I figured out my next steps. Contact through text only for now. I was consulting with a lawyer about legal separation. Her response was immediate and panicked. 50+ texts that first night. Voicemails where she cried and apologized and begged me to come home and talk. She even showed up at Marcus's apartment building the next day. He did not let her up. Told her through the intercom that I needed space, and she needed to respect that. Hearing him defend my boundaries when I had spent years not defending them myself meant everything. That week, I took action in ways I never had before. I met with a divorce attorney and discussed what an equitable separation would look like. No kids made things simpler. Assets were straightforward to divide. I separated our bank accounts, changed passwords on every shared account we had, told my parents and sister what was happening. They were supportive in a way that told me they had seen this coming long before I did. My mom said, "We worried, honey, but we knew you had to figure it out yourself." I took time off work to process everything without the distraction of code and deadlines. Amber gave me space but checked in every day with simple texts. "Thinking of you. Here, if you need anything." No pressure to define what we were or what we might become. When I was ready 3 days in, I went to her place for dinner. We just talked for hours. I told her everything that happened. She listened without judgment. Then she said something that helped more than she probably knew. "Whatever happens between us, I want you to do this for yourself. Not for me. Not against Jillian. For you." That selflessness, that genuine care for my well-being over her own desires, was exactly what I needed to hear. By the end of that week, I had absolute clarity. I filed for legal separation, the first formal step toward divorce. I met Jillian in person at a neutral coffee shop downtown. Public place, witnesses around. I told her calmly and firmly that our marriage was over, that her version of an open marriage had actually opened my eyes to my own worth, that I was grateful for the lesson even though she never intended to teach it. She looked defeated in a way I had never seen. She knew she had lost me completely, not because of Amber, not because of Derek, but because of her own choices and the truth those choices revealed. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Clean break, equitable division of assets, no drama in court because there was nothing left to fight over. My life looked completely different now. I moved into a smaller apartment across town, 1 bedroom, but entirely mine. Every piece of furniture I chose, every picture on the wall reflected who I actually was rather than who we had been as a couple. Work got better. I got promoted to senior engineer with a significant raise. Turns out, when you are not spending all your emotional energy trying to save a dying marriage, you can focus that energy on things that actually matter. I grew closer to my friends and family in ways I had not realized I had drifted from. Started seeing a therapist weekly to process the betrayal and work through the self-esteem issues that Jillian's words had created. Therapy helped me understand that her behavior reflected her own insecurities, not my inadequacy. Amber and I dated for about 4 months after the separation. It was good while it lasted, genuine and caring. But we both eventually realized we worked better as friends than as romantic partners. It was a mutual decision with no hard feelings on either side. She had helped me see my own worth at a time when I desperately needed that mirror. That gift was more valuable than any relationship could have been. We are still neighbors, still friends, still grab coffee sometimes. I am genuinely grateful she came into my life exactly when she did. What I learned through the healing process surprised me. Jillian's need for real men and excitement had nothing to do with me being insufficient. It had everything to do with her own fears about aging, about missing out, about not being special enough. She projected all of that onto our marriage and blamed me for feelings that were entirely her own responsibility to process. Real men are not defined by muscles or bravado or taking charge. Real strength is about self-respect, boundaries, emotional intelligence, and showing up consistently for the people who matter. I was always enough. I just needed to believe it myself. I started dating again about 8 months after the divorce, slowly and intentionally. No rush, no desperation. I actually enjoyed being single in ways that terrified me during the marriage. Solitude became peaceful rather than lonely. I discovered hobbies I had abandoned years ago, started playing guitar again, joined a recreational basketball league, traveled alone to places I had always wanted to see. I was no longer defined by being someone's husband. I was just Creighton, figuring out who that person actually was. The deep lesson that emerged from all of this is simpler than I expected. Jillian taught me what I did not want in a partner or a marriage. Amber taught me what I deserved from genuine connection. But ultimately, I taught myself my own value. That is the lesson nobody else could have given me. I had to learn it through pain and loss and rebuilding. The irony is not lost on me. Jillian's open marriage did set me free, just not in the way she intended. She wanted freedom to explore without consequences. What she gave me was freedom from a relationship where I was undervalued and taken for granted. I learned that when someone shows you who they really are, you should believe them the first time. I learned that self-worth is not up for negotiation. I learned that being alone is infinitely better than being diminished in someone else's company. I learned that the right person does not make you prove your worth. They see it naturally and celebrate it freely. I do not carry bitterness toward Jillian anymore. That took work and therapy and time, but I got there. She was struggling with her own demons, her own fears, her own feelings of inadequacy. Our incompatibility would have surfaced eventually, one way or another. This way was brutally painful, but ultimately honest. We were not right for each other. Accepting that freed us both, even if she does not see it that way yet. I am grateful now for the entire journey. Grateful for the pain because it taught me strength. Grateful for the betrayal because it taught me boundaries. Grateful for the loss because it taught me what I truly value. I am open to love again, but not desperate for it. I am content in my own skin in ways I never was during my marriage. I know my worth now, and I will never again settle for someone who does not see it clearly. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. You just cannot see it while you are in the middle of the storm. I lost a wife who never truly saw me for who I was, but I found something more valuable. I found a man worth seeing. I found myself. And that trade, painful as it was to make, was absolutely worth it. So here is my question for all of you watching this. Have you ever had someone make you feel like you were not enough, only to realize later that you were always enough, and they were the one who could not see it? Drop your story in the comments below, because I want to hear about your journey too. And if this story resonated with you at all, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel if you want more real stories about real struggles and real growth. Thank you for listening to my story and letting me share this part of my life with you. I hope wherever you are in your own journey, you find the strength to know your worth and never settle for less than you deserve. Take care of yourselves out there.